The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, and squeezably soft host. Once more, do we go into the breach, dear friends. And I forgot to do something here today, so we'll do it anyway.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And noticeably upset about many things. If you have a strong attachment to a place where something bad happened, you always think about it. I was talking to my ex-boss, and we stayed in Las Vegas. The company did over the, 12, 13 years that I worked there. In Bally's, off the strip, because it was easy to get to the convention center. I was there for 8 weeks a year, sometimes, and pretty easily. Anyway, we stayed at Bally's a great deal. Bally's, of course, part of MGM. Used to be the MGM. Remember, it caught fire, so they renamed it, sold it, rebought it. And they built a new place out there on the strip called the Mandalay, because I'd stayed so many times there. We were huge, had huge points. It kind of like a frequent flyer kind of thing. Anyway, I was there for conventions all the time, and it wasn't a lot of extra time to do stuff. I wasn't a big gambler, and it did a lot of tough. Anyway, they gave us a deal to move over to the Mandalay at the new hotel, because at that time they had real problems filling it up. They wanted to make it look busy. So they gave us a sweet deal to move our corporate business from Bally's over there on the corner to the Mandalay. And over the years, I'm told, I thought it was about 3 months, but my boss said, no, you stayed there almost about 6 months over all that year in the Mandalay. So I kind of think of it, but my thoughts were mostly of a very generic kind of casino. It wasn't Caesars with the shops and the vaulted ceilings, with the illuminated roof and all the other stuff. It was just your basic casino, nothing too happy. Remember many times being put on one of the wings that overlooked the place where they had the concert last night. When you look that way, you actually look over to the interstate, which is, at least at that time, I remember getting up quite early because, of course, I was on Eastern time. I always would get up at like 5 in the morning for some unknown reason. Couldn't lay in bed. It'd still be dark, and looking out the windows of the place. Across what I thought at that time was a parking lot. I never saw any concerts there. And then off to the interstate, which was almost normally bumper to bumper. And that was at 5 or 6 in the morning. But I don't know, probably stayed in most, if not all, the rooms of that hotel. So you kind of think of it. But you know what? It was such a generic hotel. I don't really have any strong memories of it until now. But you never know. Anyway, what do we have going on in the market? Well, as soon as that news came out last night, you couldn't have gotten the market to move, at least the futures market, to move a point, which suggests that we probably have the old plunge protection team in there overnight. They held it up pretty much till the opening, pulled off a little bit of that, pulled back down, Got a lot of the stocks that were much higher. And of course, really pushing the market is those Dow stocks today. We'll talk about that. And of course, the MGM, probably the worst hit for the casino stocks. Maybe we'll take a look at that. I don't know if the one-day thing is that big a deal. Remember, I stayed in Bally's, which burnt down, and I think there was, how many people died in that thing? I always hated my boss for picking that hotel, but it was the cheapest, and he was skimpy when it came to spending any money. I didn't say I wanted to go out and spend $200 for dinner, but I didn't want to spend $10 for dinner either. But of course, right across from Bally's, there's a little place called Batista's Hole in the Wall. At the end of every convention, which basically meant that we came out a couple of days before, made sure the booth was set up, did the convention, met with all our dealers, then had to make sure everything was packed up, put back together on skids and ready to go back to Cincinnati. But if you ever get there, Batista's Hole in the Wall, I don't know if it's still there. I don't think I've been back. I think it's been 7 years since I've been back to Las Vegas. Never really held a lot of fancy for me because I wasn't a big gambler. But I did a lot of stuff out there. I found all the other things to do other than gamble and drink. And maybe I'll tell you one other story. The first time I went there, because it was quite an adventure for a young guy from the Midwest who didn't have a lot of street smarts, being from the Midwest, but interesting nonetheless. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648. And we've got a question about Catalonia. I've been there. We'll talk about that. It's going to be part of the news today. But I thought I'd kind of take my breath here before we get too far into the weeds out here. But maybe we can get started here. As always, we like a little bit of history. Maybe we'll just play the history and then get to the history after this break. Maybe I got time.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
And it's not much. On this day in 1919, President Woodrow Wilson had cut short a tour of the country to promote the formation of the League of Nations. He suffered a stroke. Wilson's wife, Edith, blamed opponents in the Congress for her husband's stroke, as their opposition to the League of Nations always took the form of character assassination. Edith, who was even suspicious of the political motives of Vice President Marshall, closely guarded her access to the husband. She was kept the true extent of Wilson's incapacitation from the press and his opponents at bay until the next president took office. But what's to say she was the first woman president of the United States for the last, whatever it was, 6 or 9 months of his deal there. Kind of almost one of those Weekend at Bernie's things. They did all kinds of props and elaborate things to make it look like he was still with it when he plainly wasn't for months at a time by some of the people in the Secret Service that hovered over him. But that's it. We'll be back in a minute.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Up 7 points in the S&P cash. The volume is fairly decent, just under 2 billion shares for a Monday, so maybe we're finally getting in to a little bit of volume. Over the weekend, a few things happened. I think this happened. I didn't bring it up on Friday. France kind of had a little Atlas Shrugged moment, and this is starting to get to be a theme for France, for those people that look at the bigger picture. And basically what they said was they're kind of sorry that they ran everybody off with a dime. France's wealth has driven 10,000 people with about 35 billion euros. That's about $41 billion in capital abroad. When someone leaves the country because of the wealth tax, collectively, all French lose, said the Prime Minister, Philippe. And changing that is something I will defend. Something very, very, very different than the way that they ran to become and get into office. So there's kind of a big move in Europe changing, at least in France. This is more of a theme now. Over the last couple of weeks, we may have talked about how conservative the government has gotten over there just in the last few weeks, and a lot of people very mad that maybe the new is it president, prime minister, president, new president has become, and the government themselves. Eventually, I guess you got to say that it's not working anymore. And maybe that's one of the things that actually happened here today. Other things, this is Monday, first Monday in October, so the Supreme Court is beginning a new term today. And this is a huge docket. They've got some 45 cases and probably going to take another 15. This is not one that's shying away from looking at a lot of these cases. I imagine they'll look through them and then throw some of them back. But probably the biggest thing is on this docket that will affect us in the investing community is the rights for unions and whether or not the unions can basically be a agent of a political party and force the members to actually pay for things that they do not believe in. Therefore, can they act in their own interest as a union, or could you say that, hey, check a box, I don't quite believe all the stuff you're pushing here, I don't want this or that, you may push this for the union, but at the same time you're pushing all these other things. What do all these other things have to do about, and I don't want to pay for them. Just represent the union, and that's it. So the fight is going to be on this, and it will be rather large, because that would put kind of a wrench in the works if a lot of people could opt out of that. Other things going on. Catalonia's government said that 90% of those who voted in an unauthorized independence referendum chose to split from Spain. I took you can go over there and rent motorcycles dirt cheap because everybody's got them. And I went over there and took a tour with a couple of my riding buddies. Good boy. I'm going to say 2004, 2003. We spent a week and a half riding around. One of my old partners actually retired down there. There was I think it was a movie called Sexy Beast. I think it was, with the guy that played the Indian Prime Minister. What's his name? Gandhi. If you remember that movie. But it's all about expat UK guys, which my boss was a partner, who retire and go out there. But got to know, in a couple of weeks, a little bit more of it. Really didn't know that much about it. Learned a great deal more about what happened just before the Second World War. And this is a lot more like South America than it is Europe. I'll put it that way. Everybody from fascists to communists got an axe to grind over there. And when you look at it and look at Orwell writing an entire book about communism and fascism that was turned into a book called Animal Farm, which is, I think, required, I can't even say it, required reading. I think it's pretty interesting. Anyway, this is kind of the equivalent of 90% of everybody in California wanting to separate from the rest of the United States. Will they let them do it? I don't know. Certainly they went and started shooting rubber bullets, all kinds of stuff that basically are legal over there in the country, and didn't really care as long as they could tamp all this down. My guess is this is just bigger things to come. But you got little pockets of all kinds of people in Spain. A lot of people just think it's one big happy homogenous country, but it's a great deal more like the United States, where you've got a couple of pockets, in this case the coast, northeast and west coast for us, that has very philosophically different feelings. Spain's not doing well now. If Catalonia leaves, my guess is you could see some civil war once again. The gerrymandering case too, but I don't think we're going to see any difference that came out of the rest of it. The next elections anyway are going to have, someone just in the den said something about the gerrymandering case, especially in Texas, and just the way they've done it before. They've already agreed to allow the current way that they've split up all the areas to be used for the next election. So normally they wouldn't do that if they're going to flip on this. So my guess is that you'll actually probably see Texas and some of the other, I think there's a couple of them actually prevail, but I think the case in that instance is Texas that will prevail. Anyway, that's pretty much it for news. We'll get into some charts here now and try to soldier on. Disney, of course, the big winner, dragging a lot of stocks higher in the Dow today. It finally made a deal so that the cable company will actually keep its programming on. Kind of hard to think that ESPN is still a way to leverage your product and get channels. I will say that there's nothing to write home about in the volume. You came down on the 7th of September with 26.4 million shares, up today with 4.5 million shares. A lot of people short this thing, and better shorts out there. My guess, though, is they will continue to have issues, but this is a low volume bounce. I suspect in a downtrend, I'm looking for more gaps down like we had back on the 9th of August. Very few things going their way. NFL probably not happy about what happened today. I think they're probably glad that the spotlight is not on them and Disney itself. We'll be back in a minute.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And we're back. Let's take a quick look. 25.27 on the S&P cash. Again, volume actually fairly decent for a Monday. Well, we haven't quite hit 2 billion shares yet. So, well, that's actually kind of slowed down then. I thought it was actually going to be moving along a lot more than this. We'll see. Still pretty good for a Monday, though. But you never know. Other questions out here. Do we have anything in the email? Okay. Wow. Must have turned my air off. Okay, what else did I wanted to look at? There was a bunch of stuff going on out here. Oh, I shared a cartoon earlier this morning with a couple of people in the den. Facebook. I wanted to see if this thing was really going. You really don't see much in the way of follow through in these. And I was looking for this in Facebook. This thing, of course, came down with heavy volume on the 25th, did so with 41 plus million shares. Up today on about less than 10 million shares so far. You had 15 million shares Friday as you came back and filled that whole move up. But not a lot of juice here so far today, and a light volume bounce on Facebook. They're still getting a lot of flack, especially from the political correct bunch in Silicon Valley. And since it's all about who you can hire in Silicon Valley, if you're not the most ideologically pure down the road, you may not get some of the people. You may get some people, too, that you need. But big deal around there about being that in Silicon Valley. It's become an echo chamber of its own. But fairly interesting to see the homeboys attacking Facebook, where normally you just never really see that kind of thing going on in Silicon Valley, i.e. making fun of Apple or Facebook. They're more than willing to make fun of Amazon some and Microsoft because, of course, they're up in Washington, in Redmond. But this is not something that's done fairly regularly, and I kind of noticed those things. That is that even the people that profess to be the most progressive in the world are kind of now eating their own and noticing that there just isn't that much. Now, when we go to look at SMHs, did bounce this morning. It had a fairly decent pullback off the highs. Now, that was earlier in the day. Let's take a look at the SMHs now. This doesn't look right. Was that right? Where's my quote? High. I have something else. Maybe this isn't quite right because I had it up a little bit higher. I had, maybe somebody in the end can tell me, but I was pretty sure I was seeing 90 prints in 94.30 earlier in the day. Is that wrong for the SMHs? I see that's been changed down to 93.85. Is there a problem in the den? Yeah, 94.31. Okay. Somebody's come back here and monkeyed with those highs in the SMHs on some data, which is kind of weird because I did see that earlier. I thought maybe it was me. Anyway, 24.31, 94.31 is the high for the SMHs. They've kind of rolled off that. Didn't see a lot going on in other ones. Let's take a quick look at Apple. On that one, you basically, you got down to 152.72, 153.87. To me, it was the kind of almost an apathetic move with Apple, SWKS. And let's see if this is right. You kind of got just about, I think, everything you're going to get in Skyworks Solutions today. This is another no volume bounce, at least so far today. You pretty much have to wait to the last 2 minutes of the day to get volumes anymore. Up on 800,000 shares so far. That's compared to the 2.5 million shares on the downside on the 25th when the wheels fell off the wagon. And of course, you had a day even before that on the 20th where it came down to 3.5 million shares. So basically, you got some very low volume bounces of the last 3 or 4 days in Skyworks Solutions. To the AVGO, Avago. Take a quick look at that. Thank you, P. and Dano. Now this one's kind of a little bit more dark cloud cover looking. We've got this with, how can I say it? Yeah, you went a little higher, you rolled on a Vago. That's making me think that this Apple weakness at least has the ability to go back and test the 150 level, if not the 149.80 or something like that on Apple. So you've got a lot of these stocks that are traditionally the leaders kind of standing off to the side. Did we do NVIDIA? NVDA, another one out here. This got up to 183 or 182, excuse me, today. It's 179 right now. This one's got kind of a similar pattern. That is fairly light volume up here today with heavy volume to the downside. You need to go back and retest this 170.16, which is a September 25th low. Today we've got 10.4 million shares, so we're coming in at about halfway down. And, you know, you had a gap down on the 21st with 27 million shares. That's what you kind of touched today. I think a lot of these, you could see these SMHs pull back. While you've got some new leadership, I don't think that there's enough strength out here to not see some of these stocks like NVIDIA at least come back and retest these lower levels, 170.16 from the September 25th. So a few out here kind of taking a look at that. See what else we have out here on the list of stuff. Tesla, you'd think if we were going higher, normally everybody would be pounding back into this. Hadn't done really much out here today. And when we take a look at this one, it basically got to support. I was short this thing at like 386 or so. The equity, we covered it a little under 340, I think. Anyway, this is where support is. I kind of suspect that this thing would have the ability to maybe get back up to 360 on light volume. It's gotten a lot of short interest, and one of the reasons I left it, I was hoping no one would short the thing, but everybody, of course, piled on the way down, which always means that generally you're going to get shaken out on that thing. But really not much of any kind of juice in a lot of these stocks that had been the stocks that no matter what, people had come back and bought on the dip. Well, I'm not seeing that buy on the dip, just kind of some new leaders, but to me, they're kind of thin out there. Let's take a quick look at Priceline. Oh, not going to have time, PCLN. We'll have to come back after this break, but yeah, we'll look at Fire I2. Very interesting discussion I read about security companies this weekend, too. Priceline, of course, this thing fell apart, bouncing again. Unlike volume, gave back about half of the high. We'll talk about this when we come back, and take a look at Fire I2.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
The TAS Profile Scanner Plus, developed by John Logan and his team, is a standalone piece of software that can change the way you trade. Let the TAS Profile Scanner work for you by scanning over 5,000 financial instruments such as stocks, ETFs, commodities, futures, and Forex. Right now, you can get a 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner Plus right at TFNN.com. And when you sign up, you gain instant access to John Logan's most recent webinar, How Price, Volume, and Time Make Market Profile So Unique. This hour-long webinar with John Logan will walk you through the most powerful features of the scanner and how you can use it to become a more successful and profitable trader. You pay absolutely nothing for 30 days while you try out this software risk-free. For more information on the TAS Profile Scanner and to get your 30-day free trial today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Anyway, we were talking about Priceline. Kind of fell apart, came back, tried to rally today. Not a lot of juice so far. Still would want to see this thing probably get up above $1,900 to pull the trigger on it. In fact, you're probably going to see, if this thing's a good short, you're probably going to see this thing bounce or gap up into this area with light volume and then do a retracement and set up an ABC down. But very tough for me to see that these guys haven't rung the bell, at least on the high end of this business. Expedia, a little different. It's got a little bit of B&B in it and bed and breakfast kind of stuff, or what is that? Airbnb in it. And maybe it holds up a little bit better than Priceline. Priceline, pretty much a pure play in this sector. Also had a question about FireEye. A fairly interesting article today that talks about FireEye and the way that things are actually in corporate America. That is that you just fire all your people in this that you have, blame it all on them, and these guys literally go to another company the next day and get a job. So it's kind of an easy way of, if you do get caught, that you didn't take adequate protections, that you just fire your chief information officer and he gets another job somewhere else for probably more pay the next day. And you just shove it off on him, a little blame shifting, and then that's it. You know, this thing's had a big, nice move. It's got two gaps to the upside already, if not more. Take a look at this. So, you know, could you, I think you'd probably want to think that you'd want to look at this very hard at 1775 if it's got no juice. And man, when you look at this kind of pullback here on light volume, this is the day you wanted to see some juice come into it. Now, since we got kind of a Monday anyway, maybe you want to give this thing another day. It certainly looks like that gap. Let's go back a little bit farther here. That gap, which goes back to, what is it? August 1st of 2016 is what you're going after now. And this thing actually did gap down monster volume. We really never got that kind of juice out of here. So if you bought this thing back at 12 or 13 bucks or so, I mean, this is getting pretty close to ringing the register. You'd love for this to probably get back down around 15 bucks so that you could buy the thing. You know, it just takes a while for everything to change, but I think maybe we've gotten to that point now where CEOs have lost their heads, that maybe they actually start buying this stuff from FireEye and Cyber Being and P&W, and some of these stocks really come back in favor. It was just an unneeded expense for so long, but maybe the thing now that you actually have to have. Okay, so pretty nice. I would love this thing back at about $15 if it comes back on later on. Certainly, you have to like the way this thing has gone sideways out here, and the volume's really, the downside is that you would have liked to see the volume really kick off before it hit this high. It actually gapped up, and then it's kind of been light volume since. That's kind of, it's one of these things where you just, if you're on one of these things, just turn the trailing stop. I think one of the ways to do it. Okay, so what else do we have on the list of stuff? Check the email. Okay. What else? Take a quick look. Okay, one of the big losers today, other than the casino stocks, which are just too easy, is Western Digital. Down again on some thoughts on the way that the CEO has decided to manage the acquisition and loss, the acquisition of Toshiba's memory unit. Toshiba supplies every single non-volatile chip that Western Digital actually puts in its products, and they've done everything that they can to stick their thumb in the eye of the Japanese. They are now getting into a war that could hit into 2019 before it's settled. And Bain Capital, who is also surrounded by Apple, Seagate, and a number of others, says that they'll be more than willing to take over before this is even settled. So they're not going to bother even waiting for this thing to work its way through the courts. And I think when they said that this weekend, it basically told everybody that they were more than willing to spend or bet 17 or 18 or 19 billion dollars, whatever it is, that the buyout is for Toshiba's memory unit, and didn't care. So not a big high priority thinking that Western Digital would win and prevail in the courts of Japan. So what's the thought? Well, a good article about how hubris, not a word, but I made it up, hubris-like Western Digital was in the acquisition of Toshiba. They continued and thought that they could buy the thing for $12 or $13 billion. Japan said, no, not going to happen. We'd rather have control of Toshiba's memory unit back here in Japan. And then they started to threaten, yell, and scream, not making themselves welcome to anybody, from Apple to Seagate, their direct competitor, to a bunch of other folks. So I'm going to put this in the list of executive C-suite people acting badly. I think some of those articles were more than enough to put a pale on Western Digital. Anyway, one of the ones was actually volume kind of getting into last week's out here. Got a question about pay, P-A-Y. You can always email me at path@tfnn.com. We'll see. Nothing happened in that. Somebody says Intel is breaking out. I hope it doesn't have hives. Take a quick look at it. Well, certainly it is. I thought that of the stocks that you probably didn't want to short, Intel was one of them. It certainly looks good out here. It's made its way to $39. And not a huge volume. You wanted to see 44 shares. You got about 24 million shares. So a little light. Depends on whether you want to be very conservative or actually looking at the October 10th high that had 24 million shares. I think we're going to get 4 million shares where this fell or failed. But doing pretty good. Of course, can't do Intel without Micron now because they're kind of bosom buddies. This thing kind of spiked a little bit here today, gave up a great deal of that. Not a lot of juice in this one so far today. 41.5 million shares. That goes into 48 million shares on Friday, and 52 last Thursday after its earnings. So this thing may have rung the bell for near-term highs in Micron today. We'll be back in a minute.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to the Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Come join me next hour as we bisect and dissect these markets. Right here on TFNN. Wow!
And we'll look at a few more stocks in FLX. A lot of these things kind of came down. Again, you know, we've got basically a handful of Dow stocks kind of pushing the market up. Energy's down, so don't have much there. Kind of interesting to see the market up at all, but of course they found something to buy. But most of these stocks, I don't know if they're going to last more than a day or two with this push in it. Netflix, of course, headed back down lower today. And, you know, you got to look at a lot of these stocks that went up to highs and had kind of bounces. Those bounces weren't on a lot of juice. Netflix is off about 15, almost 20% off this August 21st low compared to the move from July 21st down to that August 21st low and back up to the September 21st high. So this thing actually does look like more of a trading range. We've talked about this thing getting back into 165 and the fact that if you wanted to buy it, that this 164.23 was a pretty decent low here to be bought in this. When we got back up into these highs, though, the volume just never came. So you would have been a seller, buyer at 165, a seller at probably 186 or 7, as this got up into the previous highs without any juice. So that trade, I think, is over. We're probably looking at some trading ranges in a lot of these. But I continue. We'll look at the volume at the end of the day. You want to check this thing probably with about 10 minutes. But a lot of these stocks just seem to be rather light volume today and kind of rolling over on the right shoulder of a lot of these particular stocks that have kind of already pulled back. I just don't see enough strength in the rest of the Dow stocks to pull the rest of these things up. They look rather tired. And, is it going to be the end of the world here? No. But we'll see what happens at the close here today. It looks like we might need at least a few days of pullback before this market's ready to go any higher, other than a handful of Dow stocks. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. And we will see you here. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.